Every morning in Japan, thousands of people over 70 gather in parks before sunrise to practice a movement, so simple you could do it in your kitchen right now. Yet research from longevity centers across Asia suggests it activates more muscle groups than a 30-minute walk, improves balance better than yoga, and triggers cellular repair pathways that Western exercise science only recently began to understand. The kicker? Most Americans have never heard of it, and the few who try it quit within 3 days because they make one critical mistake in the first 10 seconds that turns a healing practice into a waste of time. I'm going to walk you through the exact protocol used in Okinawa, where 1 in every 1,500 people lives past 100, and show you why this single movement done for just 8 minutes each morning can outperform an hour at the gym when you're over 70. But here's what nobody tells you. The benefits flip completely if you do it after breakfast, and there are 2 common variations that actually increase fall risk instead of preventing it. Before we go further, drop a comment right now with your age and where you're watching from. I want to see how many of us are ready to try something that sounds too simple to work, but has 500 years of documented results behind it. Here's the truth buried in the research. Western fitness advice for people over 70 still focuses on cardio and resistance, which makes sense if your goal is heart health and muscle mass. But in Japan, the priority shifts to something called dynamic stability, which is your body's ability to control movement through space while your center of gravity changes. Think of it this way. A strong heart and big muscles won't stop you from falling if your brain can't coordinate your hips, ankles, and core in real time. Dynamic stability is what keeps you upright when you step off a curb, reach for a high shelf, or pivot to avoid an obstacle. And the Japanese discovered centuries ago that one specific movement pattern trains dynamic stability better than anything else, because it forces every stabilizer muscle in your body to fire in sequence while your balance system recalibrates with every breath. The movement is called radio taiso when done in groups, but the core element we're focusing on is a standing exercise called ashi-yubi taiso, which translates to toe and foot finger exercise. It's a slow, controlled rise onto the balls of your feet, a hold at the top, and an even slower descent, but with 3 modifications that turn it from a simple calf raise into a full-body anti-aging protocol. First, you do it with your eyes closed. Second, you coordinate each rise and fall with a specific breathing pattern. Third, you add a subtle weight shift and arm position that forces your core and glutes to stabilize instead of letting your calves do all the work. When you combine those 3 elements, the exercise becomes a nervous system reboot, and that's where the magic happens for people over 70. Let me give you the science in plain English. As you age, the communication speed between your brain and your muscles slows down. It's not weakness, it's latency. Your brain sends a signal to your ankle to correct your balance, but the message arrives a fraction of a second late, and that delay is what causes falls. This exercise, done with eyes closed, forces your brain to rely on proprioception, which is your body's internal sense of where it is in space, instead of vision. That rebuilds the neural pathways that govern balance. The breathing pattern, inhale on the rise and a long exhale on the descent, activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which reduces cortisol and improves tissue repair. And the weight shift engages your hip stabilizers and deep core muscles, the same ones that weaken first after 70 and lead to that shuffling gait you see in nursing homes. Studies from research centers in Japan and South Korea, where this practice is standard in elder care, found that people over 70 who did this exercise for 8 minutes every morning improved their single leg stance time by an average of 40% in just 4 weeks. Single leg stance time is one of the most reliable predictors of fall risk and longevity. If you can stand on one leg for more than 10 seconds at age 70, your risk of dying in the next decade drops significantly compared to someone who can't. Walking is great for cardiovascular health, but it doesn't challenge your balance system the way a slow, controlled movement with eyes closed does, because walking is a pattern your brain has automated. This exercise is deliberate and unpredictable, so your brain has to pay attention. Now here's the part that surprises people. This isn't about building bigger calves. The goal is neuromuscular efficiency, which means training your muscles to fire faster and in the right sequence when your balance is threatened. A 75-year-old with average muscle mass but high neuromuscular efficiency will outlive a 75-year-old with strong muscles but poor coordination, because falls kill more people over 70 than heart attacks do in the first year after the fall. Hip fractures have a 1-year mortality rate that some analyses suggest can reach 20 to 30% in older adults, not because of the fracture itself, but because of the immobility and complications that follow. This exercise is preventive medicine disguised as a morning routine. Let me tell you about Richard, 72, a retired electrician from Ohio who spent 40 years climbing ladders and thought his balance was fine until he tripped over his garden hose and broke his wrist. His doctor sent him to physical therapy, where they had him do standard balance exercises on foam pads, and he hated every session. I walked him through the Japanese protocol, 8 minutes every morning in his kitchen, eyes closed, slow rises coordinated with his breath. 2 weeks in, he told me he felt more stable on his feet than he had in years. 4 weeks in, he was back to using a ladder to clean his gutters, something his wife had banned him from doing after the fall. The change wasn't strength, it was confidence and control, and that's what this exercise gives you. Here's how you do it, step by step, with the 3 modifications that make it work. Find a sturdy counter or the back of a heavy chair that won't slide. Stand with your feet hip-width apart, toes pointing forward. Rest your fingertips lightly on the counter for balance, but don't grip it. You want just enough contact to keep you safe, not enough to rely on it. Close your eyes. Take a slow breath in through your nose, and as you inhale, rise up onto the balls of your feet as high as you can without wobbling. Hold at the top for 2 seconds, then begin a long, slow exhale through your mouth as you lower your heels back to the floor. The descent should take twice as long as the rise. That's 1 rep. Here's the first modification. On every 3rd rep, shift your weight slightly forward so your shins move closer to vertical and your glutes have to engage to keep you from tipping. You'll feel your core tighten. That's the stabilizer recruitment you want. Second modification. After the first minute, reduce the fingertip contact on the counter by half. You're teaching your body to balance with less external support. Third modification. In the final 2 minutes, try lifting one hand completely off the counter for a few reps, keeping the other hand barely touching. If you start to wobble, reset and try again. The wobble is the training. Your brain is learning to correct in real time. Do this for 8 minutes every morning before breakfast. Why before breakfast? Because your cortisol is naturally higher in the morning, which sharpens focus, and your stomach is empty, so you won't feel nauseous from the slow movements and deep breathing. If you do it after a meal, the parasympathetic activation can make you feel sluggish, and you'll quit. Timing matters. Now here's the mistake that turns this into a waste of time. Most people rush the descent. They pop up onto their toes and drop back down like a bouncing ball, which trains explosive power but does nothing for stability. The magic is in the slow, eccentric contraction, which is the lowering phase. That's where your muscles learn to control force under tension, and that's the skill that prevents falls. If you're bouncing, you're doing calf raises, not ashi yubitaiso. Slow down. Make the descent so controlled it almost hurts. That's the signal your nervous system needs. Here's the second mistake. People open their eyes the moment they feel unsteady. I get it, it's scary to wobble with your eyes closed, especially if you've fallen before. But opening your eyes is like turning on training wheels. You're reinforcing your reliance on vision instead of building your proprioception. If you feel unstable, keep your eyes closed and increase your fingertip contact on the counter until you regain control. Over time, reduce that contact again. The goal is to eventually do the entire 8 minutes with eyes closed and only one fingertip on the counter, or no contact at all. Third mistake, holding your breath. When people concentrate, they unconsciously stop breathing, which spikes blood pressure and defeats the parasympathetic activation. The breath is half the exercise. Inhale on the rise, long exhale on the descent, every single rep. If you catch yourself holding your breath, pause, reset, and start again. The rhythm should feel meditative, not stressful. One more thing about fall risk that nobody talks about. The fear of falling creates a feedback loop. You fall once, you lose confidence, you start moving cautiously, your muscles weaken from underuse, and your fall risk goes up. This exercise breaks that loop because it's controlled and progressive. You're challenging your balance in a safe environment, which rebuilds confidence. And confidence changes the way you move through the world. You walk faster. You take stairs without overthinking. You don't shuffle. That psychological shift is as important as the physical adaptation. Here's the question that always comes up. What if you can't rise onto the balls of your feet at all because of ankle stiffness or pain? Start with a smaller range of motion. Instead of going all the way up, just shift your weight forward onto your toes without lifting your heels off the ground. Hold that position, breathe, and lower back. Do that for a week until your ankles loosen up, then add a small heel lift. Progress slowly. The worst thing you can do is force a range of motion your body isn't ready for, because you'll compensate with your lower back and create a new problem. If you have neuropathy in your feet and truly can't feel the floor, do the exercise with your eyes open and focus on a single point on the wall. You won't get the full proprioceptive benefit, but you'll still train the muscular coordination and breathing pattern, which is better than nothing. And talk to a physical therapist about adding vibration therapy or textured insoles, which can improve sensory feedback in your feet over time. Now let's talk about progression, because 8 minutes of the basic protocol will get you results for about 6 weeks, and then your body adapts. Here's how to keep the benefits coming. Week 7. Add a metronome or a slow song with a steady beat. Set it to 60 beats per minute. Rise on 1 beat, hold for 2 beats, descend for 4 beats. This forces even slower control and deeper breathing. Week 9. Introduce a narrow stance. Bring your feet closer together, which reduces your base of support and increases the balance challenge. Week 11, try it on a thin yoga mat or a folded towel, which creates an unstable surface and makes your stabilizers work harder. The advanced version, which you shouldn't attempt until you can do the basic protocol with no hands on the counter and your eyes closed for the full 8 minutes, is to add a head turn. As you rise, slowly turn your head to the right. As you descend, turn it back to center. Next rep, turn left. This trains your vestibular system, which is the balance organ in your inner ear, and it's the final piece of the fall prevention puzzle. But if you try this too early, you'll get dizzy and discouraged. Master the basics first. Here's what this looks like in real life. You wake up, drink a glass of water, and go to your kitchen counter. 8 minutes of slow rises and descents, eyes closed, breathing matched to movement. Then you go about your day. That's it. No special equipment, no gym membership, no complicated routine. And the benefits compound. After a month, you'll notice you don't grab the handrail on stairs as tightly. After 2 months, you'll catch yourself standing on 1 foot while brushing your teeth without thinking about it. After 3 months, someone will comment that you seem steadier, lighter on your feet. That's dynamic stability becoming automatic. Now compare that to walking, which is still valuable but works differently. Walking strengthens your heart and maintains bone density in your legs, but it doesn't train your balance system unless you're walking on uneven trails. And most people over 70 avoid uneven trails because they're afraid of falling. See the problem? You need balance to walk safely on challenging terrain, but you avoid challenging terrain because your balance is weak. This exercise gives you a way to build that foundational stability in a controlled setting, so you can return to the activities you've been avoiding. One more story. Helen, 77, a retired nurse from Texas who loved hiking but gave it up after she twisted her ankle on a route and spent 6 weeks in a boot. She was terrified of trails after that. I taught her the protocol, and she did it every morning for 3 months. When she felt ready, she went back to her favorite trail, a flat loop around a lake. No problems. A month later, she tried a trail with gentle elevation changes. Still fine. 6 months in, she was back to the moderate trails she used to hike in her 60s. And she told me the difference wasn't just physical. She trusted her body again. That trust is what this exercise restores. Here's the bonus benefit nobody expects. Better sleep. The parasympathetic activation from the breathing pattern, done first thing in the morning, sets a calm tone for your nervous system that carries through the day. People report falling asleep faster and waking up less during the night. The mechanism isn't fully understood, but the theory is that chronic low-grade stress, which almost everyone over 70 carries from decades of life, keeps your sympathetic nervous system slightly elevated even at rest. 8 minutes of deliberate breath work every morning gives your body a daily reset, and over time, that lowers baseline cortisol. Lower cortisol means better sleep, better digestion, less inflammation, and a stronger immune system. All from a movement that looks like a simple calf raise. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Why isn't this standard advice from doctors in the West? 2 reasons. First, Western medicine is great at acute care, but terrible at prevention. We wait until you fall and break something, then we treat the fracture. We don't have a culture of daily practices that prevent the fall in the first place. Second, there's no money in telling people to do a free 8-minute exercise at home. Physical therapy clinics bill insurance for balance training, gyms sell memberships, pharmaceutical companies sell osteoporosis drugs. A simple morning routine that costs nothing and requires no supervision doesn't fit into the business model of healthcare. That's not a conspiracy, it's just economics. But it means the burden is on you to seek out practices that work, even if they're not being handed to you by the system. Here's what I want you to understand. Aging past 70 doesn't mean automatic decline. It means your body needs different inputs. You can't train the same way you did at 40, but you can train smarter. This exercise is smarter. It's targeted, efficient, and backed by centuries of observation and decades of modern research. It doesn't require you to be strong or flexible or coordinated to start. It meets you where you are and builds from there. And it's cumulative. Every day you do it, you're investing in a version of yourself at 80 or 90 who still walks without fear, who still travels, who still lives independently. Try this right now if you're able. Stand up, hold on to something sturdy, close your eyes, and rise onto the balls of your feet. Hold for 2 seconds. Lower slowly. How did that feel? Did you wobble? Did your calves cramp? Did you hold your breath? That's your baseline. Now imagine doing that smoothly, with control, for 8 minutes every single day. That's the gap between where you are and where this practice can take you. One final note on safety. If you have severe osteoporosis, a recent fracture, or uncontrolled vertigo, talk to your doctor before starting any new balance exercise. This is gentle, but it does challenge your system. And you need medical clearance if you have conditions that affect your bones or inner ear. For everyone else, start conservatively, progress slowly, and listen to your body. Soreness in your calves or the arches of your feet is normal for the first week. Sharp pain is not. If something hurts, reduce the range of motion or take a rest day. Here's the truth. You've been told that staying active after 70 means walking more, joining a gym, or doing chair yoga. And those are fine, but they're not enough if your goal is to stay independent and avoid falls. The Japanese figured out a long time ago that the key isn't more movement, it's smarter movement. Movements that retrain your nervous system, that rebuild the reflexes you lose with age, that make your body feel like a reliable tool instead of a liability. This is one of those movements. It's not flashy, it won't make you sweat, and you can't post a gym selfie doing it. But it works. And it works because it targets the one thing that determines your quality of life after 70 more than anything else. Your ability to move through space without fear. So here's my question for you, and I want you to answer in the comments. Are you going to try this tomorrow morning? And if so, what's the one thing you're most nervous about, wobbling, closing your eyes, or just committing to 8 minutes every day? Tell me where you're starting from, because that's how we build a community of people who are aging on their own terms.